country can take away from this forum that you will have a legislated deposit refund scheme.
Yes, those plastic bottles must be recycled. And when the new deposit scheme comes on board, you will have just the right incentive to keep protecting the environment. As partner to global climate change policies to reduce carbon emissions, Jamaica is ramping up its protection of Mother Earth. Welcome to another edition of Jamaica Magazine. I'm your host, Adrian Atkinson. Thank you so much for joining us. You don't want to miss this exciting package. We'll be right back.
Reach the next part, I show them cut it.
Talking about that, listen to this. Pen sends a message. Disaster do happens. Be prepared. The municipal corporation reminds us of hurricane, earthquake, flooding, you name it, and preparedness.
Mommy, we really have to take this thing seriously.
Mommy, where's the emergency shelters?
Samir.
Primary school, churches, community centers. Know your nearest emergency shelter. Protect your family during any natural disaster. Be prepared. Visit the ODPEM website at odpem.org.jm to find the shelter listing for your parish. Know your emergency shelters.
Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh, and this is your JIS News for Thursday, September 8, 2022. The Ministry of Education is reporting improvements in several subject areas by students who sat this year's secondary school external examinations. The Caribbean Secondary Examination Certificate, CSEC, and the Caribbean Advanced Proficiency Examination, CAPE tests were administered in June and July. Minister of Education and Youth Favour Williams says there were improved pass rates for 12 of the 34 CSEC exams taken by Jamaican students this year, 9 of them with an average pass rate of over 80%. Most notable among them are passes in additional mathematics, which increased by 12.3%, English B, which increased by 9.1%, and electronic document preparation and management, EDPM, which increased by 7.3%. Of the 35 CAPE subjects, Unit 1 showed an average pass rate improvement in 15 subjects, while Unit 2 had improvement in 18 subjects.
I want to commend all the students who persevered and did their examinations under very trying and challenging circumstances.
On the other hand, CSEC Maths performance decreased by 1% this year with a pass rate of 37.2%. For English, a 69.9% pass rate was attained, a 3.4% decrease when compared to last year. CAPE Applied Maths had a pass rate of 56.2%. Prime Minister Andrew Holness and Minister of Education and Youth Favour Williams will be hosting a town hall meeting focusing on education tomorrow. The town hall will be held inside the Carl Hendrickson Auditorium at Jamaica College starting at 5 p.m. under the theme Education, Time for Action. Parents, guardians, and educators in and around the Kingston and St. Andrew metropolitan area are invited to participate in the face-to-face meeting and share ideas, pose questions, and express thoughts on matters relating to education. Persons may also join online by visiting the social media pages of key government agencies. The Education Town Hall is the first in a series of such events planned by the government to engage the public on a range of issues and provide instant feedback on concerns raised. In other news, the Ministry of Health and Wellness has outlined new quarantine orders for monkeypox, which will see persons ordered to be quarantined immediately upon suspicion. This was done in collaboration with the Attorney General's Chambers and the Chief Parliamentary Council. The new orders take into consideration the fact that the virus has an incubation period of 5 to 21 days and that infected persons can be contagious for up to 28 days.
Given the first diagnosed case of the individual leaving without authorization from the Maypen Hospital, we have adjusted those rules where the quarantine order is imposed immediately in order to just be absolutely certain that persons will comply. And given the period of the impact of the virus, both in terms of developing but also in terms of the period it takes on average to be contagious.
The change follows recommendations to the Minister of Health and Wellness from the Central Health Committee, which was convened on July 11 this year. So far, Jamaica has recorded 9 confirmed cases of monkeypox. Security presence has increased in sections of Olympic Gardens in St. Andrew following several shooting incidents this week, which resulted in the deaths of 6 persons. The community has since been placed on a 48-hour curfew, which ends at 8 p.m. tonight. Prime Minister Andrew Holness, who is Member of Parliament for the constituency, visited the area yesterday and assured residents that the police were doing everything to ensure their safety and bring those responsible to justice.
We are going to be ensuring that this murder, this apparent gang conflict, that the necessary resources are brought to bear and that the perpetrators are brought to justice. The immediate concern of the residents, they want to be reassured that they are able to go about their peaceful and lawful business without fear of being caught up in any random gang shootings.
To support the investigations, Prime Minister Holness says he will be fast-tracking the procurement of CCTV cameras for the area, which is a project already in the pipeline.
As you can see, these areas are properly laid out, proper roads and infrastructure. And so cameras will be very useful. The mode of the commission of the crime was by a drive-by. So motor vehicles were used. The cameras would have therefore been very useful in identifying the vehicles and possibly license plates and possibly those who actually committed the crime.
And finally, Queen Elizabeth II, aged 96, has died at Balmoral. The UK's longest-serving monarch came to the throne in 1952 and reigned for 70 years. With her death, her eldest son, Charles, the former Prince of Wales, is the new king and head of state for 14 Commonwealth realms, including Jamaica. We will have more in subsequent newscasts. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.
If you are experiencing symptoms of the monkeypox virus, including fever, intense headache, swelling of the lymph nodes, back pain, muscle ache, lack of energy, and/or a rash on the skin, you must self-isolate immediately and call ahead to your health center or doctor before visiting. The virus may enter the body through broken skin, even if not visible, the respiratory tract, or mucous membranes, eyes, nose, or mouth, and has an incubation period of between 5 and 21 days. The spread of monkeypox may occur when a person comes into close contact with an infected animal, direct contact with monkeypox skin lesions or scabs of an infected person, contact with clothing or linen such as bedding or towels used by an infected person, and the coughing or sneezing of an individual with a monkeypox rash. Wear a mask, frequently wash hands, and practice physical distancing as part of the infection prevention and control efforts. For additional information on monkeypox, visit the Ministry of Health and Wellness website at moh.gov.jm or contact the local public health department.
As the government is stepping up efforts to reduce the country's high plastic waste, we look at one initiative that's targeting public education and practical solutions.
Jamaicans will have to undergo a behavioral shift in their solid waste disposal practices and get into the habit of sorting their plastic waste, which could potentially save the country millions. If the National Solid Waste Management Authority has its way, within the next 2 years, every household will have to separate its plastic for garbage disposal. According to the state-owned agency, approximately 40% of domestic waste consists of solid degradable substances such as plastics.
When it goes to the landfill, and should there be a fire, those plastics enhance the burning and give us less control in managing any event of a spontaneous or otherwise fire at the landfill.
We have 2 types of waste in the household. You have the organic and inorganic waste, and the plastic is part of the inorganic. So it is a very good initiative, and I believe that it will save us money and it will save us the environment.
Research has shown that plastics harm the environment, impacting the growth of humans, flora and fauna. Plastic products are known to clog drains, contributing to year-on flooding. Plastics also pollute the seabed, damaging the ecological system, such as sea creatures and mangroves. For those reasons and others, the NSWMA has embarked on a plastic separation project for Jamaica. Now in its pilot phase, the project has kicked off in Kingston and St. James.
The purpose of this program is, one, to rid our waste of the plastics. Two, to reduce the amount of plastic that goes to our landfill. And three, also educate this community on how to separate and why the importance of separating these plastics.
Our regional office, WPM, is promoting love for the environment, and as you are aware, the NSWMA is an environmental organization, though government. We are interested in the health of the environment, and keeping our environment safe is of importance to us. We want to rid the environment of harmful effluents, like we have plastic bottles.
The residents are first educated on the importance of garbage separation, and then homes are provided with containers to solely dispose of their plastics.
Today we just will be issuing flyers to the residents of the communities. We'll be issuing drums, and we'll just having general discussions with them about how to make their environment more cleaner, safer and healthier. It is important that they separate at source. That way it is much more easier for us to handle the waste and take care of it accordingly. We schedule these collections, right? Once weekly, they will come in and collect, and those plastics, whichever resident is unsure of when the collection date is, they can always call us. We have a mobile app that they can also check with to verify when is their collection day in case they are uncertain.
We were actually approached by the NSWMA, and we were quite excited because we do recognize that there has been significant degrading of the environment. We have been sending emails, we've been sending text messages so that they understand that what their responsibility is in this in protecting the environment and doing what we can to ensure that our children are able to benefit and see the natural resources that we have to offer here in Jamaica and to a wider extent the universe. As far as being a part of this pilot program, one of the first communities to be selected, I mean, it's something that's going to give us a significant boost as it relates to the wider Jamaica, so that people can recognize that the Meadows of Irwin citizens, that we are conscious about what's going on in the environment. And it starts with one person, but I mean, if we could get together as a community and we are undertaking this initiative, then it goes to show that we can go ahead and extend that further within the neighboring communities, and just do great things for our country.
In this pilot launch, the NSWMA has collected more than 1,000 pounds of plastic bottles from not only householders of Irwin, but other communities in St. James, such as Rambo Hill and Westgate Hills, which have since joined in to separate their garbage of plastics. The drive is now to provide more residents with the resources to separate their garbage. Plastics come in various types, shapes, and kinds. Toys, stationaries, personal care items, and the very obvious, drink bottles. The NSWMA has partnered with other agencies to properly dispose of the separated plastics.
We don't use the same units that we use to collect the regular household garbage. We use a tipper, a special truck, to pick up those plastics. So they are not mixed in the regular garbage. So once they are separated at source, we come and we collect on specific days. We also partner with RPJ, that's Recycling Partners of Jamaica, who takes these plastic bottles and recycles it.
Some types of plastics can only be composted by industrial or municipal facilities after first being separated from other non-biodegradable plastics.
If you love the environment, you should ensure that you protect it. And this is one way you can protect it. Ensure that you separate your garbage. You have your garbage that you can separate for composting, and you have your garbage that you can separate the plastic from to ensure that it does not end up in the sea or drains. And if it goes to the landfill, which we are trying to reduce the amount of garbage that goes to the landfill, if it is at the landfill and burnt, then you know that it will give off poisonous gases that can also affect us health-wise and our environment. It can damage the ozone layer, and it can also, through the burning, which would create carbon monoxide, damage our respiratory system.
Do you want to have your community join in on the plastic separation pilot project? Then contact the NSWMA at 876-926-5170 or download their app from the Google Play Store to connect with the agency.
Parents, guardians, educators, join Prime Minister the Most Honorable Andrew Holness and Minister of Education and Youth the Honorable Favour Williams for a town hall under the theme Education Time for Action. Friday, September 9, starting at 5 p.m. at the Jamaica College Auditorium, 189 Old Hope Road. Join us on location or watch and share your questions and thoughts on the JI's social media platforms. We want to hear from you.
To deal with crime and violence, we must be united. Please cooperate with the security forces. Call 311-119 or the JDF tip line. If you know something and you not talk, you're a part of the problem.
Still on the page of development, we meet one person who is working to help Jamaica build and maintain international partnerships.
Come in.
Hi, Sheila.
Hi,
How
dear.
are you?
Welcome. Good to have you. Welcome.
Tell us, what are your morning rituals?
I tend to get up very early in the mornings and to try to be at work early because our missions, we have them overseas, and because of the time difference, we really have to have an early start here in order to meet them at the better point in their day.
All right. And in one sentence, can you tell us what you do?
I'm the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade and head of the Jamaican Foreign Service, and we have responsibility for the development, implementation, and management of Jamaica's foreign policy and relations.
Okay.
One moment.
No problem.
Yes. Yes. All right, no problem. I'll leave shortly.
Always busy, I see.
Never a dull moment, never a dull moment. So much to do.
What was the most difficult decision for you this week, and why was it difficult?
It is not only for this week, I always have difficult decisions. I have a rapidly changing agenda, and very often I have to just shift course and not be able to meet with staff, which would be on my agenda. And I find that is something that I really miss not being able to do. And but it is the nature of the job. Hi, Andrea. How are you? Thank you so much, and thanks for your work. Yes, and we just have to live with the very fast-paced nature of this job and hope for understanding for the staff, and they have been good.
Has anyone or anything made you feel inspired lately?
I take quite a bit of inspiration on a Saturday morning when I walk up Mountain Spring. I see people of all kinds, shapes, size, ages, and they are pressing on. It's a really very demanding track, and just seeing them and see their fortitude and their courage and just their persistence, and I have found that encouraging. It also teaches a valuable lesson because I learned that it takes a long time to climb to the top, but you can come down even in just about half the time. So it means that you have to be really very careful and thoughtful about how you conduct yourself and your work. Good to see you.
What would you like your legacy in the public sector to be?
You know, I'd really like to help to build the conviction about the pursuit of excellence. We need a tradition of excellence in the public service, and I hope that I can contribute to instill that in those who are working with me and around me.
Where's the most interesting place your work has taken you?
I have been to many countries, but I have to say, only because it is the smallest country I've been to, Monaco. Really very interesting rock, if one could call it that, and the corner of Europe, and I have found it to be quite delightful.
Before we go, I'd love for you to recommend one book you think everyone should read.
I don't have one book. I have one type of book. Autobiographies and biographies. I think there is something about being inspired by the stories of others. So if you think of persons, J.J. Mills, Edna Manley, Barack Obama, Nelson Mandela, and all that you can learn about life from their own stories, that I find very inspiring. And that is what I would recommend. We just take the time to see how others have been inspired to live their own lives. That's what I would recommend.
All right, thank you so much, Sheila. Have a good one.
The pleasure is all mine. Thank you for coming.
Breast milk is the ideal food for babies and can satisfy all the infant's nutritional needs for the first 6 months of life. It provides much needed antibodies to protect them against all kinds of infections. Babies exclusively breastfed have less episodes of diarrhea, acute respiratory infection, and skin conditions. Breastfeeding also benefits mommies too, through decreased risk of breast and ovarian cancers, improved postpartum recovery, and reduced iron loss. Breastfeed your baby to give him or her the best start for a healthy life. Remember, breastfeeding is best.
If you're looking for that next exciting project for your school, company, or community group, here's how you can get started.
Trees are often considered the lungs of the earth. As part of their life cycle, they take in carbon dioxide and release oxygen into the atmosphere. Let's all continue this necessary part of keeping our planet healthy by planting more trees. And here's how you do it. First things first, decide what tree you will be planting. Is it one that will provide timber? Shade? Will it beautify your space or will you be eating its fruits? Once that's settled, you need to consider what kind of conditions it would need to grow. Naturally, some plants do better in some areas than others, while others need full exposure to sunlight versus those that can survive without direct light. And there's also the soil type to consider. Some trees thrive near seasides. Others prefer mountain areas, while certain trees are content in the valleys. Next up, space. Some trees grow wide, others tall. While you may be able to prune trees to keep them under control, some lose their essence when tamed. So, be sure to plant large trees in areas where they will have adequate space to grow. If you have a smaller space, consider growing a smaller tree that requires less pruning to keep it in check. Then there's the matter of your fully grown tree posing a threat to nearby structures. As a country situated in the hurricane belt, downed trees during times of disaster is a part of our reality. There's also the pesky issue of trees which shed their leaves profusely, and others with copious amounts of flowers and fruits, which might just be the cause of a dispute with your neighbor if planted near the fence. That being said, be sure to plant trees at a safe distance from walls, power lines, fences, sidewalks, and the very foundation of your house. Once you've considered all those tips, it's time to plant.
First step is to dig a hole, right? Not too deep, about a foot and a half, not too wide either, because you're not burying the plant. You're trying to provide a nice area for it to grow. right? Upon digging your hole, if you notice that the soil type is clay, that is the kind of coarse soil type, you'd probably need topsoil, right? Because when you're putting back the soil, it's going to be a challenge for you. But after that, you dampen the soil, ensure that it's moist, provide a moist area or environment for the plant to be planted in. Ensure the plant is in the center of the hole. If you dig the hole a bit too deep, there's a process known as backfilling, right? That's when you put back the dirt into the soil to a certain height that is much favorable for you and for the plant. After you do that, you want to dampen the soil, right? Ensure the plant is in the center, because you end up having a plant to grow lean or to the side, because plants grow into the direction of the sunlight. Ensure that the soil goes up to the root collar. Now the root collar is where the stem and the root of the plant or the root plug meet, right? You don't want to go above that. Once you do finish that, you water it, then you stake it. When I say stake, you take either a bamboo stake or a regular stake, put a flagging tape beside onto it and put it beside the plant. That is you marking the plant. So once you're doing any maintenance, you yourself or any other individual in the area can know that, hey, there's something planted there, so you don't end up wasting your effort and time when planting. The most important thing is watering after and nurturing the plants. So you water early mornings and late evenings. If you water in between those times, especially in the afternoons, the plant will end up struggling with the intake of the water, right? Because the sun is going to be evaporating at the same time it's trying to take in the nutrients. You can also mulch, fertilize, or add kaya dust or sawdust to the mound to help lock in moisture for the plant.
And there you have it, a step-by-step demonstration of how to plant a tree. Call 876-618-3205 or visit 173 Constant Spring Road to get your plant seedlings. Happy planting!
$234 Jamaicans have lost their lives in motor vehicle collisions in the first half of this year. Life is precious. Don't be a statistic. Drive with care.
As we close, remember the 3 R's: reduce, reuse, and recycle. Do I really need to use disposable plates and forks in my home? What if I simply turn that glass jar into a storage container? Listen, collecting all those plastic bottles and recycling them really makes environment sense. You can find more content like this on our website at jis.gov.jm. Check it out. Also, send feedback about today's show or any of our programs to Jamaica Magazine@jis.gov.jm. Be sure to join us again tomorrow when we bring another informative program. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Happy recycling.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.